Yes. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Nicopol being hit right now, along with marionettes. Well, 9-10 minutes ago. The images are just coming out from the attacks in Odessa 2 hours ago and 7 hours ago. Asking about Lviv. Air raid alerts, no reports of explosions for days. Always good to see. Kyiv. Explosions 6 hours ago. Yes, it is already May 1st in Ukraine. It is still the 30th here. So last chance. Well, not last chance, but I'm going to be moving on to something else after today. But the Cars for Ukraine Easter Pisanki fundraiser. Oop, I meant to pin that, not click it. Renegade Chungus and myself, we've raised 11,131 euros in 80 cents. The total campaign is at 169,469 euros. Still a bit of a ways off of getting the total fundraised. So if you can and are able to, please do help out. Yes, I understand. Like a lot of you, I am on disability and get one check a month. The end of the month sucks for money. I think I have $18 in my account right now. So yeah, I get that. But hey, you don't know if you don't ask. So if you can and do have the means to, please support the fundraiser. Let's help get these trucks done, either through Renegade Chungus and myself's link or any of the others. Succumimus, Ukraine Matters, Laser Pig, ATP Geopolitics, Rick the Ukrainian, Shills, Silicon Curtain, Mercado Media, War Translated, Tanya Fiona, The Soy Pill, Bobby Yaga Fella, PSO1, Rudy Acosta Jr., Phil Ipner with On the Edge, Rich from California, and of course, Eric. Feel free to support any one of these content creators. that are trying to help Ukraine. What we're fundraising for, 16 pickups, mainly Toyota Helixes and Mitsubishi L200s. The L200 has become the mainstay of the Army now. Before that, it was the Nissan Navara. Now the Helixes and the L200s have taken over. 4 vans with 4x4 capability and 1 cargo van. That's what we're trying to get with the fundraiser. Not the year. I was just looking at the fundraiser chat, and eat your heart out, girls. I got a topless pic of Operator Starsky. I can't show that without his permission, but these are the trucks that we are fundraising for. This is Ukraine Matters. Of course, that stuff, but I don't want to show anything I'm not supposed to. That's about all that's new in the chat. Well, like I said, if you can help out, help out. Even if you have to wait till you're able to, that works too. I'll check back in on this towards the end of the stream, but let me refresh for it right now. Oh, a couple donations already came in. So, Haji, thank you for keeping the fundraiser going. And of course, even though you're donating as an Anana Moose, I know who you are. Well, let's hop right into it. Operational information as of 8 a.m. April 30th, 2025, regarding the Russian invasion. Glory to Ukraine. The 1,162nd day of the large-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine has begun. Yeah, like a half hour, the new day starts. Hey, Chungus. Sorry I missed your stream earlier. My body decided I needed to sleep. So yeah, I need to explain myself on why the 2-hour late start. Working out in the yard, trying to get things cleaned up and ready after winter, and came back in at 4 o'clock. I remember sitting down, watching TV for a minute, and then the next thing I remember is looking at the clock going, is that really 10:30? Yeah. So, yeah, body's just deciding, oh, you need to rest. So this may be a Canty up all night stream. We'll find out. In total, 177 combat clashes were recorded over the past 24 hours. Yesterday, the enemy carried out 91 airstrikes on the positions of Ukrainian units and settlements, dropping 179 guided aerial bombs. In addition, it carried out almost 5,900 artillery attacks, with 95 of those attacks being from MLRSs. Russia also used 3,186 kamikaze drones for strikes. Hola, ¿qué pasó? The aggressor carried out airstrikes in particular on the settlements of Semivka in Chernihiv, Miropilia, Prokhody, Zepsilia in Sumy, Duvyanka in Kharkiv, Berezova in Dnipro, Volodymyrivka and Novopil in Donetsk, Guliopol, Zalichny, and Novoandrivka in Zaporizhia. Not a whole lot of towns listed for 179 bombs. So pretty much can guarantee each of those towns and settlements were hit multiple times. Over the past day, the defense forces of Ukraine's aviation, missile, and artillery forces struck 15 areas of concentration of enemy personnel and equipment, 2 command posts, 4 artillery pieces, and an electronic warfare system of the Russian invaders. Cute and spider. There's a combination of words you don't see very often. Moving into the individual directions. In the Kharkiv direction, our troops stopped 2 enemy attacks in the areas of Volchansk and I know it's over here somewhere. I need to go to the other view. This does not work well for my eyes. Here we go. Kamyanka. Up towards the Russian border. In the Kupiansk direction, 9 attacks by the invaders took place in the past day. Defense forces repelled enemy assault actions near Zarazova, Stepova, Novoselivka, and in the directions of Petropavlivka and Novokruglivka. Heading to the south to the Liman direction. The enemy attacked 21 times. Lipova. He tried to advance near the settlements of Lipova, which is a new one for me. At least it doesn't ring any bells. And yes, I watched a certain episode that has that stuck in my head. So in my head, I'm going, ring my bell, ring my bell. I'll look for that as I look for go through the other settlements of Nove, Novomikhailivka, Mirny, the small settlement right here. Zoom in so you can see the name. Zeleny Dolna and Yampolivka. Let me do one more quick glance through and see if I could spot that town. Lipova, next to Nova. Okay. out of curiosity, Limon, up in this area, Nove. So basically, it's a suburb of Nove, which is not even that big of a town either. It was just basically this little part of Nove. Yeah, you cross the road, you enter a different town. Good to know. Oh, let's go deep state. Moving on from Liman to Survisk. The enemy attacked the positions of our defenders 4 times near Bilogorivka and Verkno-Kamiansky. Heading over from Survisk to the Kramatorsk direction. 13 clashes were recorded in the directions of Masky, Pritechny, zooming in, Bilogora, and in the areas of Krudumivka and, of course, Chasev Yar. Going to the south from Chasev Yar to the Torets direction, where the enemy carried out 6 attacks near Dashny, Toretsk, Krimsky, and in the direction of Divlivka. Zoom out so we can get the full picture of the Pokrovsk direction. Basically from Pokrovsk direction is basically from here to here. Get rid of that so I can zoom in. In the Pokrovsk direction, our defenders stopped 75 offensive actions of the aggressor in the areas of Stara Mykolaiivka, Stary. Not there. Let's try over here. Aha. Stara Mykolaiivka, Tarasivka. Jumping over to Shevchenko. Back up here towards Elizavetivka, Novotroyetsky. This small settlement here, zoom in so you can see the name. Lysivka, down here. Upensivka, which is over here. Koltanyarka here. Troitsky, right below Koltanyarka. Nadivka. Oh, shoot. I don't remember where this town is at. I hate when this happens. I guess I can't remember all the towns, but I try to make at least that effort, and I am failing in for Nadivka. It's the other town listed is Andriivka. Maybe down here. I'll have to try and find that settlement before. I remember looking for it and I did not find it before. So I'm just going to have to take the loss on that one and say I don't know where that settlement of Nadivka is. But moving to Novopavlivka direction. Hey there, KKGG. In the Novopavlivka direction, the defense forces stopped 13 attacks on the positions of our troops near Constantinople. Right there. Berlatsky. Have to zoom in. Privilny. Rivnopil. I know it's down here somewhere. In the red zone. And in the direction of Oredny, up here. In the Dnieper direction, so we're skipping Guliopol and Orhiv, going all the way over to Dnipro. The enemy conducted one offensive operation, but was unsuccessful. Let's see if they show us where that one happened. Just to the south of Kherson, so in the Oleshki area. In the Kursk direction, units of the defense forces of Ukraine stopped 25 attacks by the Russian invaders over the past 24 hours. In addition, the enemy carried out 8 airstrikes using 19 guided bombs, as well as 250 artillery strikes on the positions of our troops, including 19 from MLRS systems. I wish that was a beer. Oh, errand and demonstration day? That sounds horrific. The enemy did not conduct offensive operations in Guliopol or Orhiv directions. No signs of enemy formations in the Volyn or Polizia directions. Our soldiers continue to inflict significant losses on the occupation forces in manpower and equipment, and actively undermine the enemy's offensive potential in the rear. Goes into the losses for today. We'll cover that with the graphic. And we end the report with join the defense forces. Razom Pereможемо. Slava Ukraina. Oh, that kind of demonstration. I was thinking you had to like demo your product to a client or something. Let me go to and the information's already out for tomorrow. But here is today's. Total combat losses of the Russian Federation at the end of April. April 30th. Today, yesterday technically, Russia lost 1,100 personnel, bringing the total to 951,960. One tank was taken out, one armored personnel vehicle, 11 artillery systems, 1 MLRS, and 112 UAVs, 179 vehicles, and 9 units of special equipment. Sneak peek for tomorrow: 1,230, 3 tanks, 11 APCs, 45 artillery systems, 1 MLRS, 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, 112 UAVs, 139 vehicles. That's today's info up till just now. That probably means if I go to news, no, they don't have the new one out just yet. Let me grab the air raid alert, and there is no current air raids over Ukraine at the moment, thankfully. Quick refresh on the Easter Pasanki fundraiser. No new donations. Haji keeping the donations active. Keeping that fundraiser active, as Chungus's song goes. And normally we'd be going to Zelensky's speeches, but we'll go to Zelensky's updates for right now. Kharkiv, Dnipro, Dobropilya, and other cities and communities. More than 100 Russian strike drones this night. 375 strike drones since the beginning of the week. More than 190 of them are shaheeds. In Kharkiv, more than 45 people were injured in 2 waves of strikes, including 2 children. The youngest was 5 years old. Everyone is receiving medical care. Rescue work is ongoing on the ground. Residential areas were affected. An apartment building, a hospital, and a school were damaged. In total, 13 civilian locations in the city. In Dnipro, unfortunately, 1 person died. My condolences to the relatives. Another person was injured. Civilian infrastructure was also hit. In Dobropilya, a mine building was hit. Ordinary buses and cars were damaged. 1 person was injured. All morning long, Russian drones continued to fly in the sky over Ukraine. And so every day, that is why we need to put pressure on Russia. Strong additional sanctions that will work. Pressure, not just words or attempts to convince, but must force Russia to cease fire and end the war. Pressure from the United States, Europe, and everyone in the world who believes that war has no place on earth. Okay, I got to take a drink because my voice is starting to... We need additional air defense systems to protect our people, which will make this aerial terror of Russia impossible. Thank you, everyone who supports Ukraine and Ukrainians at this time. To everyone who is preparing new sanctions against Russia for prolonging the war, and defense packages for Ukraine for the sake of protecting lives. Yeah, that couple's a huge military threat, huh? Well, that goes into the next story, but um, every year on this day, we thank our border guards for their dedication and strength, for their professionalism and courage. Day of the Border Guards in Ukraine. Um, yeah, Zelensky's speech to the border guards, honoring them on their day, and of course, Zelensky's speech with the English subtitles. Here we go. Voice, thank you for the rest. Yeah, watching at mock speed to try and get through the videos for you folks. Here is Zelensky's speech, full size, normal speed. Enjoy.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Щойно говорив з Марком Карні, прем'єром Канади. Його партія перемогла на виборах. Я привітав прем'єр-міністра з цією перемогою і впевнений, що наші відносини з Канадою будуть і надалі міцними. Зараз Канада головує в групі 7. Ми обговорили нашу взаємодію на цьому майданчику. Я вдячний за готовність працювати з нами на рівні G7. Дуже цінуємо всю підтримку, яку Канада і канадійці надають Україні, нашій державі, нашим людям. Ми говорили з прем'єром про санкції проти Росії. Домовились, що сильні санкції за війну проти агресора і надалі потрібні. Говорили і про ППО для України, про дипломатію та комунікацію з ключовими партнерами. Я запросив прем'єр-міністра Карні відвідати Україну, Київ. Не сумніваюся, що лідерство Канади у захисті міжнародного права буде і надалі відчуватись. Сьогодні було також достатньо багато технічної роботи з нашими партнерами, дипломатичної роботи передусім. Ми готуємо зустрічі, готуємо перемовини, які відбудуться найближчим часом. Безпека – це головний пріоритет. Говорив сьогодні з міністрами. У нас в гостях були міністри закордонних справ та оборони Люксембургу. Передусім про нашу взаємодію в Європі та про підтримку. Хочу подякувати за підтримку України. Звісно, ми говорили про дипломатію, про необхідність повного припинення вогню. Безумовного і на достатній період, щонайменше на 30 діб. Треба припинити удари, припинити вбивства і після цього шукати рішення на перемовинах. Ми готові до будь-якого формату розмови. Росія повинна припинити удари та війну. Була сьогодні доповідь керівника ГУР Буданова щодо ймовірних дій ворога та можливих небезпек. Була доповідь головкома Сирського. Доповідь тривала по всіх фронтових напрямках, а також дуже предметна по наших діях, по наших операціях і по наших кроках найближчим часом. Ще одне. Сьогодні ж у день наших воїнів-прикордонників привітав їх, подякував за службу Україні та відзначив державними нагородами. Пишаюся нашими людьми. Дякую всім, хто працює заради України. Всім, хто захищає нашу державу та українські інтереси. Слава Україні!
Героям слава. And yes, at the end, making sure he thanks everyone working for Ukraine. That's you guys in chat. You guys. Yes, that's me too. But you guys do the grunt work. I'm just here to entertain you while you donate. As always, a very powerful speech by Zelensky. Couple new videos popping up. Let me check on those. Nothing important, but fast becoming one of my favorite channels, Vodin Ukraina. Just a place for individual soldiers to post videos.
Приціл 1126.
Pretty close to have that kind of elevation on the gun.
Час! Братан, якраз відос знімаю. Нормально, так щоб всі все бачили, короче, що ми не хуйньою тут займаємося, нахуй, їбать. А, блядь, робимо реальні вещи. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Разом переможемо. I want to play that one again, just so you guys can check out
Братан, якраз відос
what's in the front
нормально, так щоб всі все бачили, короче, що
and
ми не
what's
хуйньою
in
тут
the rear.
займаємося, нахуй, їбать. А, блядь, робимо реальні вещи. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Ліцеїсти військового ліцею Державної прикордонної служби України вітають усіх прикордонників з їх професійним святом.
Ваша відданість, мужність і
Border guards.
пильність є надійною опорою у боротьбі за свободу та незалежність України.
Ми, майбутні захисники кордонів, пишаємось вашим героїзмом.
Now I know I'm old. These kids look like babies.
Та готуватися до гідного служіння на благо України.
Зичимо вам та вашим родинам міцного здоров'я.
Сталевої витримки.
Якнайшвидшої перемоги.
Слава прикордонникам України!
Слава Україні! Героям слава!
And the last video for today from this channel.
Ми випрягли волів, перевернули плуга, сідлаємо коней та гостримо списи, відкинули жалі, згадали всі дороги, прости нас, Господи, помилуй і спаси.
When you gotta unload from the train and there's no unloading station, you make do with what you got. And Ukrainians are literally the MacGyvers of the military world at this point. Jump down here. Kiev said goodbye to 44-year-old Anna Polishchuk, who was killed in the Russian attack on April 24th.
Ми знаємось дуже давно. Дитинка маленька, 1,5-річна, залишилась без мами. Це дуже важко на це дивитись. Донечка перебуває у нас, моя дружина Світлана доглядає її. Ну а далі, як буде вирішуватись питання, бо як ми бачимо, Саша залишився взагалі без житла. Саша військовий і також був в полоні.
Well, her husband is in the military and is in Russian captivity. Now they're trying to fix the house for when he comes back. That's how Ukrainians come together. Going into Canty's Center. Give you guys a bit of a preview of what's to come. I'll go through this first since it was brought up in chat. 2 dead, 5 injured as a result of drone strikes in Odessa. The impact damaged residential buildings, private homes, a supermarket, a school, and cars. Fires broke out in some locations. The elimination of the consequences of the impacts are ongoing. This is images coming out from Odessa recently. Windows broke. Again, I'm going to point out the differences between US and Ukraine. You notice the store's windows are broken here. Everything's still on the shelf. Beer, wine, liquor still on the shelf. Not a single bottle missing. If this had happened in the US, yeah, there would be people running in and out of this window and the shelves would be empty. That is Odessa last night, unfortunately. Well, a long story. My voice is already hurting just thinking about reading that. A few videos for you. And we come back to the drones from last night. 108 drones launched, 50 shot down, 22 lost in location. At the time of this publishing, this is yesterday's drones, not today's. Kharkiv and Dnipro regions suffered damage. 2 enemy UAVs in Ukrainian airspace. Combat operations continue. That was yesterday morning. We should be seeing the report soon for tonight's attacks. But first, let's Russian munitions factory was hit. I forgot exactly where. SBU drones amused the Miriam instrument making plant, which works for the Russian Navy and aviation. It specializes in the production of ammunition ignition devices, as well as components and products for the Russian Navy and military aviation. 5 explosions were heard at the plant, 2 buildings reportedly damaged, and a fire broke out. Unfortunately, this is the only video that has came out about this so far. Hopefully more will show up soon, because this is pretty far away. And yeah, zoomed in. So hopefully we'll get to know the extent of the damage to that factory soon. And if you didn't know it, this is how Russians act in the world.
Superman!
Чупа, блядь! Есть! Чупа!
And he's not being a sore loser, he's being a sore winner. Because the Russian tennis player who was playing under the neutral flag, one step away from victory, 1 point away from winning the match, when he acted like that. You see, he even got a point, and he still acts like that. So in case there's more Russian bots watching, and you do get sent to Ukraine, this is how you surrender to a Ukrainian drone. Yeah, literally a sore wiener. Shit, I almost missed that opportunity. Well, if you're Russian and you're getting sent to the front, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, surrender, stay alive, go back to your families. You can't spend that sign up money if you're dead. And showing how to surrender, how not to surrender. I see him waving, and then reaches up. Oh, come on, stop. He's reaching out and sets off the drone himself. See if I can get. And there's the results. That's how you do not surrender like that. And this would be funny if it wasn't indoctrinating children in Russia. What, 5, 6 years old? Operators of the Signum Battalion of the 53rd destroyed 5 D-30 artillery systems and an ammunition warehouse in the Liman direction. Oh yeah, that barrel's not using anymore. Well, Signum putting in some work, taking out some artillery pieces. Third Assault Brigade brings us another video of the FPV drones mercilessly dismantling various occupiers' equipment. Yeah, I was about to get to that, Chungus. Dang it, giving away my story. We'll get to it in a minute. You know, it's right here and right here. So we got one video to go to get to that. I like the song. That's the electronic warfare at work. The fact that you can even see that through electronic warfare sometimes is amazing. We'll go through all that in just a minute here, Indie Darkstar. Chungus kind of uncorked the genie a little bit before I was ready. That was the 65th Brigade showing a Book 2 getting blown up. Before we get to the mineral deal, I have issues with Kellogg sometimes, but sometimes I like the guy.
All right, we've got some mixed messaging coming out of Russia on Ukraine. Yesterday, Russian President Putin declared a 3-day ceasefire that would start next week and said it was ready for peace talks. But then his foreign minister said Russia was still holding out for total victory over Ukraine. President Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, retired General Keith Kellogg, joins us now. What are we to believe here?
Dana, thanks for having me. Look, I think Lavrov is way off. We're in pretty good position when it comes to the Ukrainians right now, and I think President Trump in his first 100 days has accomplished more than the previous administration did in 1,200 days, and not just the Biden administration. I'm talking about all world leaders. I don't care if you talk about the former Chancellor of Germany, Merkel, or you talk about French President Macron. President Trump has it right. Look, we were in London last week.
Okay, this part,
and we came up with a
cringe a little.
term
Okay.
sheet. We came up with 22 very specific actions that, after very candid and frank and hard discussions with the Ukrainians, we think we're in a very, very good position. They didn't like them all, but nobody's going to like the final position that you come up with. That's normal when you have any negotiations. But I think we're in a pretty good shape with them. And a 3-day ceasefire is absurd. What the president wants is a permanent, comprehensive ceasefire, sea, air, land, infrastructure, for a minimum of 30 days, and then we can extend that. He's absolutely right. The president has this one right on the money. And that's where we want to go to. And when you look at everything the Ukrainians are willing to work with, now it's over to the Russians, over to Putin. Okay, we've got one side. Now you need to come up with the other side. And I think we're close. Look, this is the last 100 yards to an objective in the military. It's the toughest 100 yards. It's sort of like a marathon. The first mile isn't the hardest. It's the last mile that's the hardest. And we're in the last mile. We're almost there. We're in a good position. President Trump has driven us to that position. And I feel, at least when it comes to Ukrainians, are very comfortable at where we're at right now.
Speaking of the Ukrainians, here's President Zelensky yesterday.
Okay, I want to rip into Fox News here a bit. Claimed Ukrainian counter-offensives. Claimed. Okay, I'll just read the part that I wanted to read. Russia is not winning this war. Russia has not made any major advances in the last year and a half. They haven't taken the city of Kyiv, the capital. They haven't pushed to the west of the Dnieper River, which is the major river obstacle. They haven't taken Odessa. They've lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and they haven't really moved anything. Russia moves by meters, not by miles, and the Ukrainians are fighting on their soil, and they are fighting hard. So when Russia says they're winning, no, they're not. If they were winning, they would have already won this war. So I think they need to sit back and realize it. I think Ukraine's in a good position. The Europeans really stepped up. And a weird way to end the quote, but that was the quote I was trying to get to, but nah. The other day, the President Donald Trump instead said this, though. Yeah, whatever. Screw Trump. Let's go to. So this was posted at 3:15 Central Time. The government has made decisions necessary for the signing of the agreement between Ukraine and the United States on the establishment of a reconstruction investment fund. That was at 3:15 this afternoon Central Time. At 5 p.m. Central Time, this was put out. As agreed upon by President Vladimir Zelensky and President Donald Trump, I signed an agreement with the U.S. of the Treasury Scott Bassinet to establish the U.S. Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. I thank the presidents for their leadership. I thank everyone who worked on this agreement and made it more meaningful. Now the document is one that can ensure success for both of our countries, Ukraine and the United States. What does the agreement provide for? Together with the United States, we will create an investment fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine, which will attract global investment in our country. Full ownership and control will remain with Ukraine. All resources on our territory and in our territorial waters belong to Ukraine. It is the Ukrainian state that determines where and what to extract. Subsoil remains in Ukrainian ownership. This is enshrined in the agreement. Equal partnership. The fund is being created on a 50-50 basis. We will manage this fund jointly with the United States. Neither party will have a majority vote, and this will reflect the equal partnership between Ukraine and the United States. National property is protected. The agreement does not change the privatization process for the management of state-owned companies. They will continue to be owned by Ukraine. Companies such as Ukronafta or Energoatom remain in state ownership. No debts. The agreement does not mention any debt obligations of Ukraine to the United States. The implementation of the agreement will allow both countries to increase their economic potential through equal cooperation and investment. The agreement is in line with the Constitution and does not change Ukraine's European integration course. The document is in line with national legislation and does not contradict any of Ukraine's international obligations. It is important that the agreement will signal to other global players that it is reliable to cooperate with Ukraine in the long term for decades. The fund will be filled with revenues exclusively from new licenses. We're talking about 50% of the funds from the new licenses for projects in the field of critical materials and oil and gas that will go to the budget after the fund is created. Revenues from projects already launched or budgeted revenues are not included in the fund. The agreement refers to further strategic cooperation. The legislative changes are only point-wise. Only amendments to the budget code are required for the fund to function. The agreement itself must be ratified by the Rada. The U.S. will help attract additional investment and technology. The fund is supported by the U.S. government through the DFC agency. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look that one up. Which will help us attract investment and technology from foundations and companies in the U.S., the EU, and other countries that support our fight against the Russian enemy. Technology transfer and development is an important part of the agreement, as we need not only investment, but also innovation. The agreement provides tax guarantees. The fund's income and contributions are not taxed in the U.S. or Ukraine to ensure that your investment yields the highest possible returns. The The United States contributes to the fund in addition to direct funds. They can also contribute new assistance such as air defense systems for Ukraine in exchange for aid for contribution are counted as contributions to the investment fund. That's interesting. Ukraine contributes 50% of the state budget revenues from new royalties on new licenses for new fields. Ukraine can also make additional contributions beyond this basic one if it deems it's necessary. We're talking about cooperation for decades to come. The fund invests in mining and oil and gas projects, as well as in related infrastructure and processing. Ukraine and the United States will jointly determine the specific investment projects to be funded. It is important that the fund can invest exclusively in Ukraine. We expect for the first 10 years, the fund's profits and revenues will not be distributed, but can only be invested in Ukraine, in new projects or reconstruction. These conditions will be discussed further. We have drafted a version of the agreement that provides mutual beneficial conditions for both countries. This is an agreement in which the United States notes its commitment to promoting long-term peace in Ukraine and recognizes the contribution that Ukraine has made to global security by giving up its nuclear arsenal. It is an agreement in which the United States notes its commitment to Ukraine's security, recovery, and reconstruction. So yes, it still needs to be passed by the Rada, but the fact that Vladimir Zelensky agreed to it, Sirendenko signed with it with the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, and it is moving forward. I'm with you on there, Indie Darkstar, but it's a very, very big step up from what it was before. It'll be interesting to see what the terms are. But yeah, the fact that Ukraine is the sole beneficiary for 10 years, revenues cannot leave Ukraine for 10 years. They can only be reinvested and increase the fund. That is big. That's 10 years of mass development in Ukraine. This is more than a draft. This is going to the Rada to be voted on. That's the only hurdle left to it, really. So it will be interesting to see what happens in the Rada. It's being a 50-50 thing, which is so much better than U.S. having veto power like it was before. It's not counting past aid as the U.S.'s investment. Full ownership and control remain with Ukraine is a big, big thing. Ukraine took a turd of a deal and polished it up. Oh, I'm sure he does. If anybody does, I think it's Ukraine that knows that. Yeah, new investment, not debts. And that it's in line with the EU integration course. This is a win for Ukraine, I think, at this point. When it first came out, I thought it was an extortion protection racket, or whatever you want to call it. This is something that has the potential to help Ukraine grow over the next 10, 20, 50 years. Yeah, it's just it's an investment fund. It's not anything really, we're not, it puts new aid as a contribution to the fund. So, I mean, there's a little bit of stickiness there. But basically, if Putin pisses off Trump at this point, there's nothing stopping Trump from going, okay, flood Ukraine with aid, and we'll just count that as investment into this fund. So, yeah, the U.S. could easily push $1 trillion worth of aid into Ukraine for them to help them fight the Russians, and count that as an investment instead of aid. Night, KK. Yeah, I woke up. I took a nap. It turned into more of a night's sleep than a nap. So, yes, it's signed and is out for approval by the Verkhovna Rada. But Trump wanted this deal, so it's not going to. I see no issues with it passing the Senate. Oh, you'll see I'm expecting a response from Putin tomorrow. Literally, this was getting signed at 8 hours from 1 o'clock in the morning, Russian time, that this was announced. So, yeah. 8:37 a.m. I'm fully expecting to hear something from Putin, bitching, whining, moaning, complaining.
Добрий вечір, ми з України, кращої на світі країни, духом сильні, вільні, єдині, ми незламні, ми позитивні.
I thought there was a runway there when I saw that. U.S. approves first arms export to Ukraine worth $50 million. There you go. Sign the agreement and aid starts flowing again. 101 days of Trump's office, and we send 50 million worth of arms exports to Ukraine after the deal is signed. Because it's an investment now. It's not a handout. So there you go. U.S. aid back on, even though it's not aid. The White House has approved the first arms export to Ukraine worth $50 million through direct commercial sales to Kyiv. Trump administration has informed Congress of its intention to greenlight the exports of defense products to Ukraine through direct commercial sales. So it's not even aid, we're selling them weapons. At least it's something. First authorization since Trump returned to the White House 101 days ago. Yeah. So it's I wouldn't say it's great news, but it's good-ish news. But yeah, it's no surprise to me that the first defense package to Ukraine comes literally hours after that agreement was signed. Literally hours. Let's see if the new news. The new report is out for tomorrow. 196 combat clashes recorded today. 1 missile strike and 92 airstrikes. Take a sneak peek at the losses. Oh, we already went through that. So, you see Donetsk and Kharkiv under air alert for the last 20 minutes. Let's do a refresh. So with the U.S. aid going back on, kind of, sort of aid. Yeah, you see this report from the Kyiv Post just came out 8 minutes ago. So literally breaking news. Yeah, probably where you saw it land is Rezov here. Where's the airport? I don't see it offhand, but there's an airport here that most of the aid flies into, and it goes on the train from Rizlov to Kryhovitz, right on the border, and then on to Lviv, and is distributed from there. The kind of sort of aid is the part that it's not aid. It is an authorization to sell weapons to Ukraine. So Ukraine is buying $50 million worth of equipment. So it's not really aid. It's authorizing a sale of weapons to Ukraine. Does that make sense, Chungus? Because I don't know if I can explain it another way. We're not giving them stuff. We're selling it. But yeah, make no mistake about it. It is no coincidence that this is literally hours after the agreement was signed. So that 50 million is probably Patriots and Patriot missiles. Yeah, it's the first twist of the tap. So very cool. Very glad to have something breaking like that coming out right now. Do a refresh on the Easter Pasanki. No new donations yet, as expected, with being the end of the month. Just for shits and giggles, news. Um, 53 minutes ago, New York Times, Thursday briefing. 7 hours ago, U.S. and Ukraine signed mineral resources agreement. Okay. Ukraine to send plane to help fight wildfires in hills outside of Jerusalem. Um, 24th of April, 24th of April. Yeah. So nothing yet from Putin, but I'm expecting in the next couple hours, we'll have a response from Putin. Define wildfires in hills. Ukraine will send a plane to help fight the wildfires in the hills outside of Jerusalem. Okay, so I guess I have to go. So those are the fires in the hills. Here, let's do one better. Firms. NASA. Okay, why is it not coming up with the firms? There we go. Global fire map. Israel. So I'm guessing these fires. And this fire here. I'm going to zoom in a little more on these ones. So this would be the hills, I assume. Yeah, my first thought was California. Yeah, all the red in the world, all the red in the world is supposedly active fires. Australia. Huh, that's pretty close to me. So that would be Mitchell. This would be up by Corsica. Parkston. Yeah, this one I knew about. This was a supposedly controlled burn to burn off the weeds in the in a field, and it spread. This one I did not know about. Where is this at? This 52. Okay, so this is over by Tyndall. I believe so, Haji, because here, let's go to Ukraine minerals map. Titanium, uranium, see, manganese, iron, what's the orange? Graphite. Ukraine has 4% of the world's graphite in reserves. Uranium and titanium, 2 and 7%. That's huge. There has to be a better map than that, though. Here we go. Try this one if it loads. Come on. Tectonic map. So, huge iron deposits in Crimea. Yeah, there's a huge swath of resources in the Donbass area. Donbass Basin is where that comes from. Don, as in Donetsk, and Bas Basin. So, see, gold, silver. Oh, won't let me zoom in more. There we go. Gold, silver, iron, titanium, graphite, C2, black seed, uranium, thorium, gold, topaz, diamonds, and the diamonds up here in Ravine and Zhytomyr. Copper's another huge one. Yeah, Ukraine has a lot of resources that have been untapped. Mostly because they've been dealing with archaic mining technology of the Soviet Union. You get modern refining and mining techniques in here, and there's literally trillions to be made. Well, at least you didn't go with a joke name and, never mind. I won't give you ideas. North of Mykolaiv. Oh yeah. Yeah, Donetsk region, Luhansk region. A lot of minerals here. This is why Russia wanted this area. They wanted to push further, but Ravine is a huge, huge industrial town that could easily refine and extract those minerals. Yeah, I'm not saying this is the best map. It's not easy to understand. So lithium, tantalum. What the hell's tantalum? Zirconium, graphite. Most of this has not even been explored geologically. So you don't really know how much is there. So 20,000 deposits have been registered. Less than half of them are proven. 117 of the 120 most globally used metals and minerals. Yeah, Ukraine is very mineral rich. But I don't think there's going to be any one map out there that does justice to, makes it easy to understand. Maybe. So green is all the titanium. Red is all the rare earths, or as Trump calls it, raw earths. Dark green is lithium. Gray is, or the dark gray is graphite. Orange is uranium. And the light gray is others. And the thing that's funny to me is, when was this put out? February 2025. And the front lines have not changed all that much in 4 months. Yeah, there's gold deposits in Ukraine. There's silver. When I visited my friend near Poltava, in Poltava Oblast near Lubny, a lot of the locals went gold panning in these little ravines when the water's running, and along this river. And Russia, let me rephrase that. The USSR was not interested in developing outside of Moscow. I mean, let's see. We go to you see all roads lead to Moscow in Russia. There wasn't much development outside of Moscow during the USSR times. All the other subjugated states, Moscow sucked money from them and developed Moscow. They weren't investing in areas outside of Moscow. Just what it was. See if anything new has popped up. No new air alerts. Good morning from Ukraine. And I should have watched the time, because at 9 o'clock every morning, it is 9 o'clock now, 9:01. Ukraine just finished its minute of silence for the fallen soldiers. With that, I look forward to hearing from Putin. I want to hear him whine, bitch, moan, complain. Well, things like lithium and stuff like that was not really in demand until the electric vehicle craze. And, there wasn't a need to develop those resources until now, when, pushing the electric cars and everything else. Yeah, those are, that lithium, the titanium for lightweight metals are all going to be high demand as we go electric cars. Guess who has them all? About, my estimation is about 10% of the world's supply of minerals is in Ukraine. Yeah. Gold is not rare. It's a fairly common metal. The problem is Earth was liquid at one point, and gold is denser than, say, rock. So guess where it all went? To the middle. Where some of the best gold deposits are, or were, I should say, is where meteors used to hit. Let's go to Google Maps. There's a famous one in northern Minnesota. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but there was a meteor strike way, way back in the day. And basically in that crater, everything heated up, was liquid, and the gold formed into a lens at the bottom of this crater. Over time, it filled up and blah, 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 blah. And, one of the richest deposits was sitting there mining that little lens of the gold that was at the bottom of the old meteor impact. Yeah, I have a lot of interesting knowledge when it comes to stuff like, that. I know that place is between Bemidji and Carp. I have friends in Carp, in Baudette, and I know the turnoff is along this road here. I just don't know exactly where. I'm not saying it's top secret. It's just I don't know it. Let's try mining sites. Oh, maybe that one, but that's Michigan. Huh. Oh, I didn't know there was a mine here in Mitchell. Let's see this area. Yeah, just Mitchell. See, go out towards Deadwood, Sturgis. Look at all those mining locations. It is what it is. I had a mild interest, so I studied up on it a little bit, and not enough to do anything or, make a career out of, but just stuff for my knowledge. Hey, Michael. Sorry. I don't have anything else popping up. Let me just check. Latest from Ukraine. Nikopol UAV threat. That was hours ago, never mind. So now the latest 107 Zaporizhia air raid alert. See it just popping up there. Kherson, UAVs. Nikolaevka, UAVs. Margarinets, Dnipro region, UAVs. So, Russia's still sending UAVs even at 9 o'clock in the morning. You probably will not see the actual document itself until after it's been ratified. And
This episode asks,
GRU expands list of targets. Opponents and critics of Kremlin may be targeted. Yeah, I already knew about this. SBU told me about this when I was streaming in Kyiv. So, I don't know, Chungus, are you streaming right now? Let's find out. Home, YouTube. No, 9 hours ago. I'm guessing Chungus went to bed. Thursday, yeah, he probably has to work tomorrow, so. Why did we make a deal with the devil? Sometimes you have to go with the lesser of two evils. It's the only thing I can think of. Michelle DeCroby, because there's this thing called passwords, and a lot of us, you know, have the passwords saved on our computer in programs like KeepPass and others. And without that, we can't sign into our accounts anymore. Yeah, unfortunately, I believe you are right there. They're the same evil. But, you know, going back to this is the consequences of the attack in Odessa. High-rise apartment building. I didn't know Ukraine had gators. So that is what happened in Odessa last night. For me, I'm going to call it a stream. Yeah. But as you, the reason I went back to Telegram is, yeah, hours after signing the mineral agreement, Trump approves 50 million in sales of military equipment to Ukraine for the first time in office. I mean, it's selling weapons, not giving weapons, but it's a step in the right direction. Yeah, that's when I first got to Ukraine. And that is the picture Golby used for my intro video that I play. I am so stoked about going back in September. I can't wait to get there. Starting tomorrow, today technically, I am going to be doing something new going forward with the fundraisers. Oh, why did I scroll all the way to the top of that? So tomorrow stream, I'll make this wish list public and stuff I want to take to Ukraine. Of course, I'm going to be asking you guys to help me with this. I talked to Greg Terry and Rick and got a good idea of what is needed. Greg's going to be sending me a box of stuff to take, but I'm hoping you guys will help me out with some cat Gen 7 tourniquets, chest seals, Israeli bandages, and blood stop powder to take to Ukraine with me. Hopefully be able to help out a few units or a medical unit keep supplied. With that, look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. Thank you for coming to the stream. If you haven't hit the like, please hit the like. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. But most importantly, keep supporting Ukraine. And have a good night. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good night.